In order to maximize revenue, jury rooms in Maine are purposely designed to be very small and super uncomfortable. They all have a large desk you could barely walk around and hardwood seats with no padding. The jury room will have windows that do not open and a radiator blasting away in the corner that cannot be turned down or turned off. Since the real truth of the matter is of no concern whatsoever to the court, they want the jurors to be as uncomfortable as possible so they reach a decision that has been decided by the court days earlier. The court knows that when people are in an unusually small, very hot, very uncomfortable room, they are going to do whatever it takes to get out of there as quickly as possible. The court knows that the most uncomfortable jurors will quickly favor the prosecution just to get out of that room. If you are a member of the Good Old Boys Club and charged with a crime, don't worry. There is another, much larger jury room, complete with carpeted floors, padded seats, air conditioning, and a microwave just for you. You will also get your own special juror as foreperson, if needed. Upon investigation for this video, it was discovered that courts throughout Maine, especially Hancock County, have been using fake jurors for some time. When they want to win a case, members of the Good Old Boys Club just throw in a member as jury foreperson. Since different cases all contain different people, with the members of the Good Old Boys Club, or court staff and attorneys, the only thing that stays the same in each case, it is never noticed that the same special person is on the jury again. Keep in mind, as soon as you walk into that courtroom, the people on grand juries, district attorneys, judges, and court-appointed attorneys all have a financial interest in your conviction. A plea deal allows a former Lincoln County Sheriff's deputy to avoid retrial on 20 sexual assault charges in exchange for pleading guilty to a single misdemeanor count of providing a place for minors to consume alcohol. Deputy Kenneth Hatch III, Lincoln County Maine Deputy of the Year in 2015, was charged with 22 counts of sexually abusing 3 girls when they were younger than 16, one when she was 6 years old. One victim described a number of occasions after she turned 14 when Hatch allegedly agreed to give her marijuana, at one point directly from a police evidence bag, or buy her liquor if she'd have sex with him. She said the two of them had sex about 10 times, and she estimated she went on 100 ride-alongs with him. The trial started with 2 girls testifying that Kenneth Deputy Hatch sexually abused them when they were 14 and 15 years old, often during ride-alongs. Both victims said he provided them with alcohol and marijuana from a police evidence room. The third witness, now 19 years old, said Hatch first abused her when she was only 6. Then when she was 14 and 15, she said Deputy Hatch gave her marijuana and liquor if she'd have sex with him, often in the back of his cruiser on Crocker Road near Hatch's home while on duty. They delivered their verdict less than 3 hours later. Maine Assistant Attorney General John Bristler said he is not sure why the jury found Hatch not guilty on those particular counts, which were among the 17 counts that involved one of the then 14-year-old victims. I'm disappointed we weren't able to secure a verdict. Just because it happened a long time ago doesn't mean it didn't happen. Those are the cases we want to take seriously. Bristler said following the sentencing that the likelihood of convincing another jury of guilt beyond a possible doubt was small. The option I had to protect the people of Maine was to remove his ability to serve in law enforcement, Bristler said. When he loses his certification from the Criminal Justice Academy, it's very unlikely he would ever be able to serve in law enforcement outside of Maine either. Richard Elliott, Kenneth Hatch's attorney, declined to comment following the verdict, but said Elliott Hatch is extremely relieved. He'd like to have seen all not guilty, but we live to fight another day. He said he's not sure why the jury found him not guilty on those particular counts. I'm extremely pleased with the jury we picked, Elliott said. Obviously, they considered it long and hard. I think any time there's a hung jury, it means they did. The custom-picked jury must have obviously considered everything long and hard. It took almost 3 hours to reach a verdict for a member of the club. Elliott said he was unsure of Hatch's status with the sheriff's office, but said that since Hatch was out on disability when he was charged, it would likely continue. He agreed to accept the misdemeanor for furnishing a place for minors to consume alcohol because he agreed to let kids drink on his property, and obviously he knew other kids were there. Elliott said Thursday he thought it would be safer to do it on his property than for them to be out driving around. Yet if you do it, they will throw your ass in jail so quick it ain't funny. Superior Court Justice William Stokes dismissed the 20 counts with prejudice, meaning Hatch cannot be tried on them again, and imposed the mandatory $1,000 fine. Assistant Attorney John Rissler, who prosecuted the original case against Hatch, asked for a 10-day suspended sentence, but Stokes said that was not an option. We do not sentence members of the Good Old Boys Club to jail, so Justice Stokes did not sentence Hatch to any jail time. Justice William Stokes declared a mistrial on the remaining charges, which included sexually abusing 3 teenagers when they were younger than 16 and one when she was 6, and providing marijuana to them. But Stokes said the original jury was an excellent pick, and it had been severely deadlocked. Maine State Attorney General Janet Mills issued a statement noting that prosecutors do believe the alleged victims. Mills said, "We support the victims, we believe them. Unfortunately, the jury the club picked did not find beyond a reasonable doubt that Mr. Hatch was guilty of these crimes. Fortunately, he will never work in law enforcement again." Deputy Kenneth Hatch was demoted in May 2013 from sergeant detective to patrol officer, according to an employment reassignment agreement. The document made reference to an investigation into a matter that the Maine Attorney General's office outright declined to prosecute. The single-page document does not specify what was investigated, but states, in the event of any future similar charge or incident, the department may use this matter in a future disciplinary proceeding, although this matter shall not be, by itself, the subject of discipline. Before the demotion, Deputy Kenneth Hatch also received 2 written reprimands, one in 2010 and another in 2012. Lincoln County Sheriff Todd Brackett reprimanded Deputy Kenneth Hatch in June 2012 for a serious breach of security and disregard of an official order, according to copies of the written reprimands. That action followed an investigation by Cumberland County Sheriff's Office on Brackett's behalf into the disappearance of an undisclosed amount of oxycodone pills that had been stored in the evidence room of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Department for 2 pending drug trafficking cases, according to the document. The investigation determined that the oxycodone stored in the evidence room had disappeared in late 2011, causing the 2 criminal cases to be dismissed. Conveniently, details about those 2 cases were not included in the documents that were released. Sheriff Brackett concluded in his reprimand of Deputy Kenneth Hatch that the then sergeant detective had disregarded a direct order given in the spring of 2011 to keep the evidence room key on his person. Instead, the sheriff said that Hatch had left the key in an unlocked drawer in his desk. The evidence shows that Deputy Kenneth Hatch failed to provide a secure environment for storage of evidence seized by our law enforcement agency, the reprimand stated. Deputy Kenneth Hatch also was given a written reprimand by Lieutenant Michael Murphy in February 2010 for conducting a criminal and motor vehicle violation background check through the state criminal computer system on his brother-in-law to provide him with a copy so that he could apply for a taxi license in Augusta. The then Detective Sergeant Kenneth Hatch had documented the search as being done as part of a criminal investigation. The lieutenant stated that Hatch's action in his initially denying that he was running the records request for his brother-in-law violated several policies, including adding false information in department records. Kenneth Hatch III was fired after a lengthy internal investigation. He had been on unpaid leave from the sheriff's office since he was charged in June 2016. This is a perfect example of the courts covering up crimes of police by the use of fake jurors. I mean, come on, deadlocked on 20 counts in under 3 hours? The fake juror, or member of the Good Old Boys Club, on the jury must have had to get home to watch a rerun of Matlock.